All right, legends, we've had a 3 or 4 week hiatus from the fast fire, buy, hold, risk it, and sell. And we're going to be getting back into that today. And then we'll get into a deeper version of this, but focusing more on the best 13 you can get for this week. And obviously the best 17 for round 17 as well. So happy days there. But kicking off here, it doesn't look like there's a tremendous amount of trades, or the who's hot list, the guys that people are bringing in, is very well spread out. You've got that group of 15 players there with you and Aiken down the bottom at 0.38 traded in, and then Campbell at 0.82, and then you've got a few on the who's not list. So let's start with those guys that have been traded out. And Garrick has been the most traded out of all, and I do think that's a mistake, given Garrick is going to be playing in round 18, 19. There's some really, really important matchups there. He obviously misses, he would have missed next week anyway, so he just misses this extra one. He'll lose a bit of cash, but the dual position and the ability for him to play almost every game except for that round 22 clash, which most people don't have many Manly players, so he'll be easy to cover. He's been great outside of that issue with his head knock in round 5, and then his head knock again in round 15. So he gets another couple of weeks off. He should be good to come back in that week. I think he's a hold at this point of the season. Jack to Bellin, you can hold or sell. If you're in a pretty good spot with mids for round 19, then I do definitely understand why you might want to sell him, and obviously the change in role hasn't been very good. He's moved from the lock position to the prop position, and you actually do look at some games at prop earlier this season. He went for a 40 in 57 minutes, which is just a little bit low because the meters gained were 41. But he went 57 and 56 those other two, and then since he's gone to that position the last 3 weeks, his minutes have dropped to 41 and 45. I don't expect that to continue going forward, but I do understand why people might want to move off because they've got all their cavalry back there, and his role has changed. So yeah, if you're really trying to chase and if you've got sort of seven plus trades, I can understand it. Otherwise, I'd be holding. Harry Grant there, 657. He's the next on the list as a sell, and it just feels like a mistake now. Given he's priced at 47, what do you guys expect Harry Grant to average for the rest of the season? He has a 50 average across that season now, so 3 above where he's currently priced at. So it seems like a bit of a mistake to sell him now. Yes, he's going to miss round 16, round 19 at a minimum. I think he likely backs up and plays round 17 and 20. So it's only 2 more games for the rest of the season for one of the premier hookers in our game. He obviously hasn't had his best season by any stretch, but it does include a 66 and a 50 in 2 of his last 4 games, and he went 39 and 41 his last 2. So it's not the end of the world. Hasn't been great, but I suggest holding him, but I do understand the sell. Finna Furiaki, he has had a pretty good little run there over the last month or so. So we know that when he plays decent minutes, he's able to score 34 plus in that last 3 games that he has got that opportunity, which is very, very good. 47 and 61, his last 2 80-minute performances. He's very, very likely in round 17 to come in and do that. And with a 36 break even, he won't be losing any money playing that 80 minutes or close to it if Nanai ends up getting rested or comes off the bench in round 17. So just be aware of that. Obviously, they have a buy in 16 and 19. It is a good time to remove him, but you don't have to. Kaipi's Paul, I think if you held last week, you probably want to be holding again. At 626k, he's going to be a really important number in round 19, in round 20, obviously 17 as well. So hopefully he's back and good to go, and I think he will be. So I do understand the sell, but I would also suggest trying to hold now if he didn't sell last week. Jermaine Hopgood's in a different basket. I do think there's a good chance that he makes it back into the Origin team in round 19. So in that case, he would miss this week. Unsure if he would recover for round 17. He would miss 19 and then 20 with their bye. I think he's a sell. Blaze Talangi, 455. So he's a very important one for round 19. So if you can maneuver your team in a way to keep him, so you've got him for 17, 18, 19, then I think that's good. I think he's earned that spot. He's been playing really well and obviously scoring a lot of tries as well. So that was his lowest since round 7 there with that 28. And had 4 missed tackles, unfortunately, and a couple of errors. So it wasn't his best game, but with that dual position, fairly low break even at sort of around that 30 mark, I think he's an easy hold, but I do understand the sell as well. Jack Cole's an interesting one. There's some news around that Cleary might be returning in around 17 or 18 type of number there. So Snyder played pretty good. He's carrying a little bit of an injury. Negative break even is a big thing keeping people holding on. But if you don't have any clear sells this week and Jack Cole's in your team, I understand selling him. Otherwise, you can hold and wait for another game, which you'll likely play another game at some point. If Luai gets rested or something like that, that could be the play for them in round 17. But they also have Schneider and then Cleary coming back as well. So I do understand selling. Dylan Brown. Again, feels like a big mistake to sell given he plays round 19, a very, very important fixture. He's coming off some good scores, guys. I don't understand it. Like, yes, he's had that 36 in there, but all the games before that, 54, 50, 51, 56, 77, 57, 48, and 70. I cannot believe that people are looking to sell him. I do understand that his meters kicked has dropped, right? But he's also had some lower tackle numbers in the last bunch of weeks. Before that, he was going 22, 32, 26 and getting good scores, and that's just dropped a little bit just for the way that the other teams are, are attacking. So I think it's a mistake to sell. He's priced at 50. He's averaging 51. Just hold on to him. He's a very important number for round 19. Brendan Piakura. The reason you would hold him is for round 19. He's going up a bit in price. He's scoring okay. Thankfully, last week, it didn't end up too bad. He picked up a 28 with 7 missed tackles in that effort there. Thankfully, that got dropped down a bit. But 26 made, it's a bit better than what he's done in some previous games there in the teens and stuff like that. We know there's going to be games there where he does get some attacking stats too, and he plays round 17, 19, 20. He's not injured at the moment. That's the big thing with Piakura. So I do understand selling, but I'm personally holding myself. All right, we look to the buys of the week, and Jane Campbell's right up top, and understandably so. He has this 15, 16 break even, 559k, and doing really well in that 6th position. It looks like Tanner Boyd is not being picked for the side rather than anything. That's three weeks in a row now that Tanner Boyd's just sat at 18th man. And it's likely to continue. But Campbell has shown really, really good class at 5'8" with, getting a couple of forced dropouts last week, a 40-20, getting offloads the week before. So he's doing it in different ways. Picked up a try last week. The week before that was a line break assist. Obviously, they're not going to kick too many goals, but I do see this matchup against the Warriors as not being, too much of a problem either. And I'm been very happy with his defense. So, yeah, really solid guy to buy. Lehigh Hopewadi. Negative break even, obviously, with a 62 last week. He went 32 and 37 the 2 games prior, so expect him to be a little bit more around that range. But obviously there you can get a 62 with tries, with line breaks and all the rest. So that was a really breakout game for him. Does he lose a spot, though, when Tommy comes back? That's probably the big question and the reason why I would say to stay away at 342. All right, Pappy's back. Exciting times there. 573k. So I do understand if anyone wanted to take a little bit of a punt on him, given he's had some good scores in and around some average ones there. He's got 20 in his average, of 81, a 51, a 24, up to a 57, a 34. Like, he's a little bit all over the shop. He was on 34 in 39 minutes before the latest injury, and it's hard to take someone coming back from injury. But if you want a point of difference play, he's owned by no one at the moment. So Pappy, you can do that, but a big risk, obviously. And one that's less of a risk, and they both have the same buy schedule, is that of James Tedesco at 708k. So if you do need a wing fullback this week, he is by far the best guy on the list to grab. A little bit of a lower break even, given he's had a couple of good games in a row now. 69 and 61 his last 2. And he should continue to score well in the next 3 weeks, given he's got the Doggies, the Tigers, and the Dragons there before their buy in round 19. So not owned by a tremendous amount of people, just under 30% in the top 1,000. He is someone that will help you rocket up these rankings, and a lot of people aren't using trades this week, so he's going to be owned by less than half, definitely, the people, you'd imagine. So Teddy, a good buy this week, probably the best buy of the week. Joseph Manu at 688k. He's obviously a very interesting buy. I would be going for Tedesco before him, just because he has some odd games in there where he gets to 33, like last week. He had 45 at fullback. He's got a 40 in there, in amongst some really, really good scores, 50 plus. So he's there under 700k, averaging 52 for the season, but priced at 49. So you get a little 3-point discount on his price for what he's averaged for the season. So if you want to go for him, again, a nice run coming up. Won't be in Origin, so that's that. I can't believe Kini is 523k. Still a negative break even after that 85. He's got an 80 and an 85, 2 in the last 3 weeks. Incredible work. I am worried that Brimson will take his spot. They have a bye next week, and then maybe Brimson returns. So feels like it's a little bit too late for the Kini train. Geordie Raps at 496. Obviously had him at the start of the season. He did some good work for me before getting injured, sadly. And then obviously he got 42 and 60 his last 2 weeks. Kicking goals as well, which is very, very helpful. And up against the Tigers this week, Melbourne into Newcastle. I understand as well, a little bit of a point of difference play of someone that can get you a 50 plus score for sure. Priced under 500k. So if you want to do that and go down that route against the Tigers there, then that works for sure. Herbie Farnworth has gone up a fair bit in cash now at 707k, but he's been performing terrifically well in his recent 3 games. There, a 99, a 54 into a 61. So yeah, scoring tries, doing good things. Comes up against the Storm this week and that right side defensively, which isn't as good, into the Dragons before their round 18 bye, and then Bunnies in 19 when Latrell's likely not to be there. So yeah, still a really fun pick, I think, as a point of difference player in the centres. Matt Timoko at 532. He's going to be a really fun little pickup if you wanted to, but it could be a little bit frustrating as well, given he's very much in the 30 to 40 odd range. He has an 87 this year and a 60. Outside of that, he's very, very consistent in the 30s to 40s. So keep him in mind. But yeah, someone asked me about him. I just wanted to mention him for sure. He's okay. Ewan Aiken had his lowest score in a while. Totodile in the game on the weekend, 46, but he went 76-81 in the 2 games before that, and he was around that 50 to 55 mark going forward. And he's obviously priced at 57 now with those massive scores, so maybe a little bit too expensive for your budget, but I still think he'll be able to average in the low 50s pretty comfortably, so you might be paying a little bit of a premium, and maybe that's where you go for Farnworth instead. But edge and centre duel's pretty important. A few people are still buying Jack White, and I just think at 426, yeah, he'll do a bit this week, but, and then, yeah, that was in a win as well. He still picked up a 30, so this is, without attacking stats, I'm expecting these types of scores from him with missed tackles, and that included 327 kick meters, 27, I just spoke like a Kiwi, and then 121 meters gained. So he still had all those base stats there, but still only got 30, so it doesn't excite me. All right, so that's no one. Beautiful. Jerome Hughes at 758 there. So he's still a really fun pick there. He comes up against the Dolphins in that first clash of the week this week into Canberra and into Tigers. So still a really nice run, and he's absolutely killing it and doing everything since Munster's been out. So another great half purchase. Wouldn't be selling like a Dill Brown to him, but if you can get him another way, then that works well. Plath is in the half section for me. We're going from wing fullback to hooker, if you haven't noticed yet. 654 for Maxi. He has been doing really, really good work. Obviously, the last bunch of games, he's gone 50 plus in all 3. 1 try there. Only his head knock game that he got a under 40 score since round 4. So doing really good stuff. Price of 47, averaging 49.4. So a couple of points discount. He's owned by a lot. So if you want to jump on with the pack, then he's an easy one to do that. Playing the next 2 big buy rounds and helps round 19, which is really tough. Matty Burton there. He's an interesting one now. Now that he hasn't been named in the 18th man jersey, round 19 is not going to matter if he was to be named to play or even in the 18 jersey for Origin. He now plays around 16, 17, 20, which is very, very important, obviously, for owners there. And he's had a really, really good season. He obviously comes up against the Roosters this week, and it's a fairly tough run for him, Cronulla into Warriors, but he's been one of those guys that's been scoring super well, and he has a 73 2 weeks ago. Outside of that, he's been mid-40s to up to 82 in round 5, so another point of difference player that could do really well for your side if you want a half. Keon Colum, and don't have the money to get to Hughes. Keon Kolomatangi is 707k. He's still obviously managing to score really well. Got a 53 last week in the end after that try, and good tackle break numbers with 4 big run meters. He has the last 3 weeks since he's gone to big minute role in the middle. So yeah, definitely someone that you could easily pick. Price of 51, averaging 50. Just has that massive score in his recent rolling average, but dual position, plays around 19. Really easy one to grab. Stefano's the other one. I think I'd have Stefano over Keon at the moment, just because edge seems to be a little bit more packed than that of the mids, especially for round 19. So yeah, I think Stefano's a great pick. Price of 48, averaging 52.5, a massive score last week. If he continues to get back to that 56 minutes, which he has the last 2 weeks, he was a little bit lower before that, but they really need him to step up with no Twali. I think that against Canberra this week is going to be a really fun matchup, and he'll be able to do well through the middle. So yeah, if he's owned by 20 of the top 100, but 8.8% of the top 5,000. So yeah, well done to those guys. But yeah, a great purchase this week. If you want to go a bit more expensive, up to Adam Finau-Blake, then that's great. He obviously misses round 19 though, so keep that in mind. But a 49 for him last game wasn't his best, but when he scores tries, we know he can get to the mid 60s, 70s. So it's a very different pick to that of Stefano, not needing tries, but yeah, good one as always. Ruben Porter, one of the cheap guys of the week. If you wanted to go for one of those guys, him and 1 or 2 others that I'll mention, the only guys you'd probably look at, to be fair. At 244, he played 70 minutes last week for a 40, playing a lot of edge last week, and he's named there to start this week. So yeah, worked hard, did good things, got some good running in at 74 meters. And 4 missed tackles for 33 made. Not the end of the world, but if you want a guy that maybe plays the next 4 weeks, could play the next 2, not sure. Like whenever guys come back and does Twiley come back and he come out, or does other guys on the bench come out? A few question marks there, but I think he's not the worst guy if you want to get like a cheap cash out that could play the next potentially 4 weeks that you need him to play. That could be cool. Joe Tarpen here, 703k. Another one of those mids to purchase, but doesn't play 19. I think I'd still go for Adam Fanua-Blake over Tarpen, and I'd go for Stefano over him personally right now as well. Just with what you can see, Stefano can give you for sure. But Tarpen, a really, really solid pick. Obviously got 50 last week. Minutes are there at the moment, 60, 62, and 58. So good stuff there. And you can score well in those minutes. Sione Fainu, 250k, picked up 37 minutes last week, so an increase by 10 with Twiley out. So yeah, again, it's just more based on how long that keeps up and how long Twiley's out for. But 37 for him, did really well. Price of 250. Might play off the bench for the next bunch. He's played 11, 14, and 15, so it's a hit and hope and a guess as to if he does that. His brother, Samuela, 518, getting a little bit more expensive. Break even still a bit lower. It was a bit scary on the weekend until he got his line break with that 5 missed tackles, but he got 6 a few weeks before, and he had 0 the week last week. So yeah, a little bit all over the shop with that. He is a rookie, just a second-year rookie. Just expect that to be the case, but he's getting a bit more expensive. Dual positions there. At this point, I probably would go up for Stefano if you could, but if you can't, then 518, still fine. Just got news that Damien Cook actually signed with the Dragons, so I'm assuming that's for next year. Congrats to him for securing another 2-year contract. Very sad to see him be leaving the Bunnies there, but obviously they've got Pete Marmazelis that they've been trying to work into calculations, and relieves a bit of cap space and stuff as well. So yeah, congrats to Cook on getting another 2-year contract. Shame it's not with the Souths, but they've mucked around with him the last year or so. So there you go. But he's been great and definitely a really solid option if you want to go for any of those guys. He scored 3 tries in the last 4 weeks. So I didn't pick him last week. I was like, the tries and tries assists can't continue, and he might go back to what he was in this midsection, which he might again, but we don't know with that one. So if you want to pick him, good stuff. Abby Coruscant, the cheapest of the bunch, I'm going to talk about now at 572. He's in a really good spot coming into this week. Obviously, priced at 41, break-even's a little bit lower, so he's fairly cheap and has scored better the last 4 weeks, 53, 50, 48, and 44. If you need a cheap hooker that plays 16, 19, that all works out well for Abby. All right, we've got through round 15, so Reed becomes a really good purchase this week at 711k. He's priced at 51, averaging 53.4, so you get 2.4 point discount on him, which is nice, and he's been very, very consistent in recent history, of 55 in his last, and he hasn't hit under 50 since round 9, which was a 49. So good stuff to Reed. A really solid pickup this week. Last 2 guys, Jeremy Marshall-King at 680k. I picked him up last week. He's averaging exactly what he's priced out there at 49. A little bit more up and down his scoring. He'll get a 40 odd, go up to a mid 50, 60, go to a 70, go down to a 43. So a little bit all over shop there, a little bit cheaper than some, but 100k more expensive than Appy. So, but he plays 16, 19, which is good. And the last one is Jake Simpkin. A little bit more of a guess as to minutes, and if Lockie Croker comes back after the bye and all these types of things. He's got Gordon Chan-Kum-Tong on the bench, so plenty to think about there. But he scored well earlier on the year for the Tigers, but since he's just had that one game with Manly, went 38 in the full 80 minutes. Is he going to continue with that, or is he going to be a 50, 60-minute role with Gordon coming on? I think that'll be the case, and that'll drop down his potential to score. So I'd probably avoid Jake Simpkin at this stage. Obviously, that was a little bit of a longer buy, hold, risk, sell, just because I'm not going to be focusing on this part of it in the big buy, hold, risk, sell. So thanks you guys for jumping in here, and I hope that helps you with your trades this week. If you're making 1, 2, 0, whatever that's going to be, good luck with that, and we'll see you in the rest of the videos today.